welcome everyone. Today is Wednesday, Wing Wednesday. Um, our wings are actually really good, and I've got people that like come into Rick's and they'll be like, "I'll have your wings," and then afterwards they're like, "These are amazing." And I was like, "Well, we every place in town we basically buy our wings from like the same couple companies, suppliers. So it's kind of funny to me how uh, people react or think that some wings are better than others. And I think the secret is you fry it, then you fry it a little longer so it's extra crispy, and pick your favorite sauce.
Yeah, it's the sauce, man.
Hot, mango habanero, garlic parmesan,
I don't like the garlic
barbecue.
parmesan. It's
I'm not a garlic parmesan fan either, but some
yeah.
people, we had some guy from New Orleans come in and he was like, "These are amazing.
I mean, if it's done
I
well.
like garlic parmesan." And so that's more his style, right? So, um, they got the barbecue, honey barbecue, and all sorts of stuff. And then our exclusive sauce is the tomatillo ranch that I don't think anybody has in town. So exclusive at Rick's.
Noise.
Did I say we were exclusive? But anyway, Wing Wednesday, Rick's.
Yeah, and Rick's Wing Wednesday is fun because everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
Like I wake up on Wednesdays and go, I want to do Wing Wednesday, and then Josue reminds me, oh wait, it's Tuesday, and it's just I don't know, ruins my whole week. Thanks a lot, Josue.
Yeah, he starts flapping his arms, making it awkward.
Yeah. But sometimes like we've been selling out and I'm like, we need to buy more wings, So it's been kind of I guess a popular item that's been picking up. Because when you sell out, you got to get more and more. And I go, buy some more. And they go, man, our freezer only holds so much. I don't care. Buy another box. It's not fun when you have a business and you run out, but it happens.
Anything on your audio, Steve?
So
I can't hear you at all.
we're waiting to pull up Steve Cannon.
You want to dial him in
I'm gonna
on
dial
the
him
phone?
in.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call you in case you.
Yeah. One of the things that's been interesting little discovery for me is until we get Steve on the phone is the Sovereign Wealth Fund.
It's gonna start ringing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a unique thing going on because I don't think we know exactly what it is. And I think it's going to be part of our financial system.
Yeah.
Putting assets on the ledger.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's going to be interesting. I haven't heard too much about it other than it's something that's being created, but I'm not entirely sure.
I wouldn't be surprised, right? He talked about putting TikTok on the Sovereign Wealth Fund. You're like, oh, it could be worth $1 trillion.
Yeah.
Because our assets are like 5 trillion. We're in debt 45 trillion. And what's Trump going through next? Fort Knox gold.
Yeah.
And it's valued at $42 an ounce. What's it worth now?
Yeah.
Let there be light.
Oh.
So,
all right, there's Steve. Can you hear us, Steve? Hold on a second.
I'm still working on it.
And boom, he is with us now.
I'll turn my speaker down.
There.
Hey, Steve is with us.
But anyway, I believe we're going to be adding more and more assets to this ledger, and we'll be more asset based.
Language. Sorry.
Adding gold, adding adding resources from different countries and whatever. And so you're going to see this battle because we want to put as many assets on this ledger rather than being just gold backed. I think it's going to be asset backed in a variety. It may have Bitcoin, it may have all these assets on this ledger. And then you'll be like, whoop, the ledger balances. How about that? And then we'll go back to an asset based currency and we'll be like, well, the dollar will be really strong.
Oh, yeah.
Where right now it's kind of credit, funny money based.
Yeah, I think that's smart. Having something to back your money is extremely intelligent, especially if you're currently holding the reserve currency.
Yeah. So the reserve currency will maintain it by putting everything on the sovereign wealth fund. So I watch it. I think it's going to happen. I think you're just going to see these assets. So all this big show we're seeing now, and we'll see. I think, going into Fort Knox, looking at the gold, Trump we have to redo the whole oil deal.
Yeah.
because right now all oil has to be sold in U.S. dollars, and that contract ended with Saudi Arabia. So Trump's talking to Saudi Arabia, he's talking to Russia. Why is he buddy buddy with everybody doing that? We've got to redefine the rules for how oil is sold, because right now it's got to be sold in U.S. dollars, or
Yeah.
we go to war.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
Some quick business, real quick.
easy to look at.
Those that are joining us, please like, share, subscribe. We are live on all the chats.
Push all our buttons. We like it.
Yeah, and send us messages. Send us the little heart things on TikTok. I want to see you guys share the stream as much as possible. And then if you're thinking about Josue getting extensions, Eden Salon, Aaron Walker does a great job. It's one of her specialties. So give her a call down to Eden Salon and schedule an appointment today, and see about getting your extensions in, Josue.
Yeah.
She also does what she calls blonding, and of course, haircut, trim, all that stuff. Aaron Walker, Eden Salon. Eden Salon is here in Moses Lake.
I hear blondes have more fun. I've always wanted to test that theory out.
So, Eden Salon, 509-766-6900. Again, 509-766-6900. Give Aaron Walker a call today. Schedule an appointment to get your extensions.
Well,
I think they look great on you as well, too.
Yeah, Rick could use some.
Some beard extensions, that'd be good.
That's about all I can do it down here.
The Viking.
Yeah.
I might, I've heard people getting extensions downstairs, but I'm not that guy.
I'm more of an upstairs kind of guy.
This has gone downhill.
Or downstairs.
Secondly, if you need your car worked on today or any day, Brothers Automotive Moses Lake. We're a proud sponsor of the Rixican Show. In fact, I think, Rick, your truck's being worked on today.
He stopped by the house. I gave him some keys. He took my truck and hopefully return it in a couple hours.
No dents this time.
No dents.
Yeah, Brothers Automotive, no job too big, no job too small. From engine swap to oil change, give Brothers Automotive a call today, 761-9744 in Moses Lake and surrounding area. Again, Brothers Automotive, 761-9744.
They keep you on the road.
That's right. Oh, Josue's a customer there as well.
I am.
That's right. So
my bucket of bolts is still running.
I got the Ferris Bueller image in my mind. That but so they're ripping the dad's car. That one. That's probably what he's doing with my truck right now.
Well, I know what he's doing. I just looked at the camera. Yeah, you're gonna like the new color of the.
Taking selfies with it.
Man.
So.
Right. Well, Steve, are you ready for this?
I think so. I'm just not sure.
Can you handle it?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you. So we have Steve Cannon. He's a full gospel mission out of Spokane. I guess he grew up in the Nazarene church and joined the army. He was infantry. So why is the sky blue?
You know what? I punted that and I don't know the answer.
What? The infantry is because God loves the infantry. That's why the sky is blue. That's an infantry question. It is now. This might be way after your time, but they're like.
So I guess Steve failed again.
Failed. Yeah. Stolen valor. No.
Uh-oh.
I was in basic training 1985. That might help you.
Maybe. But yeah, that's why they say, like, why is the sky blue? Because God loves the infantry. That's what they tell us. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we got a whole room full of veterans here.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, if all four of it. I can count that high.
Represent.
Yeah. Even though I guess I don't know if the Marines they used to be a department of the Navy. So
So I got a joke.
Now we're just always Marines, no matter what.
So I got a joke for that. I've always would say to people, because I was Navy, and I would say, oh yeah, and don't finish this because you got to hear the whole story before. My whole life I would say, oh yeah, well, Marines is the Department of the Navy, and I'd laugh, and they'd be like, well, whatever. Well, in Moses Lake, I said that to Jeremy Robertson. You know Jeremy Robertson,
yeah, I know
right?
Jeremy.
And I go, well, you know, the Marines is the Department of the Navy. And he goes, yeah, the men's department. So it's like, touche, touche.
So what's the other part?
Mhm.
Do you guys sit when you pee? So-
Hey, Steve, a little
The
warning.
Navy
We get a little
sits
weird
and the
here.
Marines stand. Is that
Okay.
So,
Oh man.
oh, also too, while we go, Steve, you'll hear me, Pastor Steve, give this out. If you're on Cash App, you want to support his mission. He's going to Africa. Where again in Africa are you going to, Steve?
Uganda, Zambia, and Malawi.
Okay.
Awesome.
And it's his Cash App is $ Foxtrot Golf Mike Foxtrot Alpha November. Again, that's $ F like Frank, G like gospel, M like mission, F like four, A like all, and N like nations. Full gospel mission for all nations. And I will put it in the chat as well too.
That was a wild phonetic change.
Yeah.
Well, because that's what it actually stands
Like
for. So
you're adding phonetics I haven't heard yet. Like
'cause that's what it stands for, huh? Pastor Steve.
Who's Frank?
What it stands for.
Yeah.
By golly.
Yeah. All right. We'll get back on topic here.
So this is Make Fun of Donnie Day. That's why Josue is here too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wow.
it's my favorite day.
Oh wow. He's that guy.
So I think one of the reasons I assume they brought you on the show is because you guys deal with homeless, and we have a homeless issue in our community,
Yep.
and it's kind of a concern all around the country, and we'll move back and forth between some topics here, but uh, I heard you guys have a Jesus coffee house. Is that correct? And then you guys minister and feed the homeless. So can you describe what that's like? How many people, when you do it?
Sure. Well, a few years ago, Linda Meissner is a woman who works with amazing ministries in the past. She had a coffee house downtown Spokane, and she got kicked out of her lease or her building that she was in one of the worst parts of Spokane. And she asked us, and I'm sorry, I'm stuttering a little bit. I'm going to pull my earphones off because it's echoing in my ear. But she asked if she could use the building to do it when she got kicked out. And that very same week, we said yes and invited her to come. And we didn't know what to expect. But when we did it, it made a huge impact, not just on the people that came, but on our church as well. And the interesting dynamic that happened is a lot of people left the church because of it. But then we gained hard workers that do things for each other for the right reasons. I hope that made sense. I'm still dealing with the echo in my ear.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we heard you.
No, that's all right.
We don't hear it though, so
Yeah, there's no echo on this.
we get to watch you suffer. It's great.
Yeah, it's a little like uncomfortable.
I feel like the guy with the magnifying glass and the ant right now.
We do like people suffering, so little happy thing
That's
inside.
what we do here, Rex.
Be inside right now. Little refinement going on. Yeah.
But the man that she had worked with in the past was David Wilkerson. I don't know if you know.
It's crossing the switchblade.
Yeah, also, yes, Nikki Cruz, Crossing the Switchblade. She worked directly with them, and she's actually in the book of Crossing the Switchblade too. And what a dynamic powerhouse of a woman. She's been doing this for many years all over the country, and now we are blessed to have her because our church has actually grown because of what she does and how she does it. And we took what she did on Friday night and incorporated in our Sunday morning. That's this year. I
So
hope that made sense.
Yeah.
So my understanding is you feed those in need on the weekend, or basically Friday and Sunday. You're
Yeah.
serving about 200 people.
Hmm.
Um, anyway, where do you get your, I guess, food and supplies from?
That's another interesting dynamic, and I'll just pull their headphones off when I'm answering. Uh, we have people like the Spokane Dream Center and some other independents that know what we're doing. And watching people say, I want to help has been the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. Seeing people come together and make a difference. And if you all do just your little job at a time, I'll just give you an example. Sometimes at the church on Friday nights, nobody will know who the pastor is because I'm there picking up plates, welcoming people, and just saying we're glad you're here. And watching these people all come together and give of their time, but give of their resources too, or extra food and clothes and blankets, especially socks and sweaters, it's truly impacting the community. And Spokane Dream Center had given us a van at an incredible price, and now we go down to second in division, where some of the worst are, and we literally go pick them up and bring them. And now on Friday nights and Sunday mornings, the van driver is telling us people are literally running to the van because they recognize it, and
Wow.
they're not just getting fed and clothed; they're getting loved as well.
Awesome.
That's good. Um, how often do you serve steak and lobster?
Well, we don't do steak and lobster yet, but we are receiving donations for that. Ourselves first, just to make sure. We'll tell you this about the breakfast on Sunday morning. We make the best biscuits and gravy uh, in the city, and I don't even think there's a restaurant that comes close to how good the gravy is. Just putting in a plug in for the breakfast, and anybody
That's
is
awesome.
in the joint.
Awesome. Um, w- so I think taking a step back to the homeless,
Yeah.
I I personally have not seen a great solution in handling the homeless. I see a lot of ideas, a lot of this and that, and I was like, how do you help someone that doesn't want to be helped? How do you maneuver all this? Do you have any ideas on how to solve the homeless situation?
Well, it's kind of like the theory of leading the horse to water. You know, they have to want to drink. And so, and that's probably not a good analogy, but the drinking part anyway. But
Oh,
leading somebody to do something they don't want to do, the best thing that I see from our experience is once people are around us for long enough and see other people coming out, it starts to spark something that makes them want to come out too and do right. And when they learn about doing right and coming off the streets, coming out of addiction, they realize that it's going to cost them something too. And I think that's the part where it's more up to the one that's getting the help to decide, do I want to take it to the next step?
Yeah, I like the part where you said it costs them something to, um, and and it sounds like we're just talking about integration, getting people to collaborate, associate. I don't know whether it's an activity or more than activities, getting people to socialize, and I guess eh, I don't know how to say this, but I was taught as a kid. There was a gentleman, and he worked with gangs, and he was like, you can't just tell them to stop. You have to replace that activity with something else, and that's always stood out in my mind. Is like, you can't just be like, stop being homeless. It's like
Right.
integration in some social activities replaces, you know, that things that they do. It changes their patterns, it changes their habits, and allows more opportunities for people to decide for themselves to get out. But I don't see. It's like, man, how do you do that? It's so tricky. How do you create something that they want to replace it with? There's a cost. They have to give up friends. They have to give up addictions.
Absolutely.
They have to give up, a lot.
Really quick, David Parvez says, hey, and he loves and supports you, Pastor Steve.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
And yeah, so yeah, integration. How do you do this? And you know,
I can give you a little I can give you a little something on that. The thing that really paid off for us is us sitting down with them to chat and to interact and to develop relationships instead of just saying, we're the nice people feeding you. We come at it a little bit differently in two different respects. Number one, Jesus said, as often as you do this, in other words, as often as you feed or clothe or visit the prisoners or do these things, you've done them unto me. And so we try to treat it like we're feeding Jesus himself, like we're giving Jesus something he needs. I think any of us, if Jesus walked in the room and said, I'm hungry, I think we would scramble to do our very best. Am I right?
Yeah.
no,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Okay. And so treating the homeless, I try not to use that word myself because then it automatically gives me a picture in my mind of what they're like. But when we get to know them, some of the very ones that were in the most destitute, addicted place in their life came, and in my natural eyes, they look. I don't like to say this on camera, but look kind of like worthless, helpless, like unhelpable. So as we develop relationships with them and just talk to them like you and I are talking right now,
yeah,
we found out they're just like us, and we're not that far away from them. In fact, one little uh, analogy came to us that what if something happened where a lot of us became homeless because of some catastrophic event? Who would we want to show us the ropes on the street?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
yeah.
But the relationships are the things that is making the biggest difference of all. Interacting and treating them like humans instead of we're the nice people feeding the poor people.
No, I like that because I do think many of us, when we go to help or serve those in need, I think we don't always interact with them as, I guess, brothers and sisters are human.
Yeah.
We act at them
Yeah.
as like, oh, it's a disease. Let's be delicate. Maybe there's things I can and can't say. They're the black sheep in the family. Or
Yeah.
we don't talk about, you know, this or that. Um, no, I think this is good and important because, like, I'm reflecting on my life, and I'm like, there are. It's true. We sit in a circle and we all beat our drums about the problem, but most of us don't sit down with them and actually talk to them uh, at the human level um, to help with integration. And I'm like, I'm probably guilty of it too. Now, I mean, I do. I mean, once a year I do Thanksgiving at Rick's, and we serve 500 to 450 people
Yes, I heard about that.
each year. It's free, whatever. We do it on Thanksgiving because that's the day, the actual holiday when you need to be with people that care and love you. And so I don't do it weekly. That's a big project for me to do weekly, but I'm able to do it like once a year, and it gives me a perspective. I can get the volunteers out. Thanksgiving is a time of sharing and families, and people want to come. Um, there was a one particular family that stands out to me that I think that they were living in their car or something not great, and they stayed the whole time with us, and they probably had 3 meals with us. Every time a kid came up for more pie, I was like, "Here's your Hey, you want seconds? You want
Yeah.
thirds?" Every time they came through, uh, but you know, uh, we don't know people's circumstances. I mean, we had and it's I guess it's not necessarily homelessness. I mean, we had a lady that helped us out for a couple years in a row, and uh, and she's known in the community. Um, but anyway, she um, I mean, she had cancer or whatever. She came and helped participate, but I mean, she just passed away last week. But it was like sometimes they're on they come to help on the giving side, but they're still receiving um something. They get family from it.
Absolutely.
They
Yeah.
Finding what your part to play is huge because you can't do it all. And I was the kind of person that tried to do it all. I would literally get the food, cook the food, serve the food,
yeah
and still try to preach and do some of the music at church. And now what has happened after investing some of that time, um, some of the people that used to be homeless are now our biggest assets. Number one, they appreciate what they're doing because they were once there and they understand the people that they're serving. So they really know how to relate. And they've been so good at things like security issues where I would tend to call the police. They know how to talk to them. They know how to, like I said, diffuse situations that can get aggressive quickly, and they know them by name. And us all working together, we all have a part, is my point. And
yeah
so those that give, even those that pray, those that say, hey, God bless this thing and please help our community. Everybody finding out what your lane and then doing just what's in your lane, not stepping out of it and not doing somebody else's job, but staying in your lane and cooperating with the body of Christ is making the biggest impact we've seen in our city. That's, since I've been here.
And it's interesting too how it spreads. Like earlier, we were talking about Josue, and how he's actually linked up with your guys' ministry directly. Josue, what happens on Sunday nights with you guys?
So over at Patriot Church with Pastor Aaron Noble, we have a ministry that we're starting up where we have a Sunday night service, and then after that, we all eat dinner and kind of fellowship. And we're trying to reach out to people at the local sleep center here. We've had a couple of them come through and have meals with us. It's really great to just kind of reach out and help people in our community, and give them a free meal, give them the gospel, give them a good time, and kind of show them that they're loved and they can connect with other people in the community. And I think it's a big deal for them. A big deal for us, really. Like we all get to connect with a bunch of different people and see people from different walks, and what you said was right on the money. We're all like one or two bad events in our lives away from being in that position ourselves. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's not guaranteed that we're going to wake up tomorrow and still have a roof over our head or electricity or running water, and I think we take that for granted a lot.
I was there once. I've shared my story many times of being homeless, and when I met Josue, he was pretty darn close to.
Yeah.
So I think each and every one of us. Rick actually lived in a homeless tent area during Katrina, and got
Yeah.
to experience
Wow.
the stinkiness of all that.
yeah I wasn't homeless, but it was yeah I mean, if we take a tangent, yeah. So Hurricane Katrina, the local residents, right? They get dibs on the hotels first. By the time the contractors come in and the place is a wreck, it's like a war zone. I mean, just everything's blown around. I remember they were working on that whatever Superdome New Orleans thing was, and um, guys were up there working. But we went in there and they put us in a tent city, basically a shopping mall parking lot. I don't know if it was a Mervin's or whatever, but we're in this parking lot. There's about 300 of us living there. And, FEMA wasn't much help. They were there, but it's like, oh, you can't use our showers. You can't, I'm like, we're all working, tarping roofs and doing stuff, and we stink. And you're like, you know what I mean? Like, anyway, grateful for the Red Cross getting us food. Otherwise, I don't think we would have missed more than a few meals without the Red Cross. Um, but anyway, it's rough. You got a bunch of grumpy people working, a bunch of, I mean, mostly all men there. And one night, somebody got stabbed. An argument broke out, and they kicked us all out. And then we're like, where do we go? We have no place to go. And eventually, we had to pack our bags and head home. Like we couldn't help rebuild, but it was crazy the stuff that they did. And um, anyway, so if you talk to me, I'm not a huge fan of FEMA. I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
they're jerks, like. But at the same time, it's interesting to see the people come together and I guess to try to survive together.
Yeah.
There's a every camp has its own government. You have your own governor, you have your own mayor, people calling the shots, people, some of the first people, the founding fathers of the
Yep.
tent city, kind of
Yeah, there's always a hierarchy.
there's a hierarchy. And anyway, it's interesting. Having been in the military, right, you have the military structure and
Chain of command, all
chain of
that.
command. Yeah. Everywhere you go, there's a structure and a hierarchy. And so those in need have it too. And switching gears to those in need, you don't have to lose everything to feel that way. There's people that, I don't know what the percentage is. 60% of the people you come across have something going on in their lives.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Something going on. And we're all trained to be like, I'm fine, I'm good. So
Yep.
we really don't know where someone is in terms of close to the edge, because if you have stuff and you're losing stuff, you might feel a certain way about, my life's a wreck. Then there's people with nothing and they're like, they'll give you the shirt off their back. I, I've traveled around a little bit, and happiness is kind of a funny thing. In Costa Rica, I was in some places and the people were genuinely happier there than they are here. And I was like, man, we live in the land of milk and honey, but all this stuff
We do.
can be a burden and
Yeah.
distract us.
When I go to Malawi and some of the poorest countries in the world, and some of the poorest women in some of the poorest countries of the world, I notice the kids are perfectly happy playing with a stick and a rock, and they'll fight over the stick and the rock and just have the best time ever. And it doesn't take video games and all those things to our kids, virtual reality and all that stuff to make them happy.
Yeah. Anyway, and that's just getting in, assets and stuff is a distraction.
Yeah.
It's a cost to maintain it. It's a cost, to manage all that. And it kind of burdens us in some ways. And sometimes I'm like, man, it'd be nice to sell it all and be free.
Yeah.
That tent city looks mighty fine. Like, how do I become tax free too? It, and our society is not set up for you to step outside of the system. Like, if you want to go off grid, if you want to step outside the system, it's not designed for you to do that. You still have to have one foot in, because the homeless people, they don't want any help from the man. If they're on a corner begging, they're begging for the system dollar.
Yeah.
It's like you can't get away. They need donations and sleeping bags and counseling and all this stuff. It's like the system doesn't. Yeah, you just can't escape the structure that we have, and so it's like, how do you manage that?
Well, I remember too, like what I've told you this story before. When I was homeless, like, and I lived on the streets of Portland, and I wanted to get out of that system that I was in, and but I couldn't get a job because I didn't have an address. I didn't have a phone, and they had just made it so that most payphones you couldn't receive calls back. So I would sit at a payphone all day. I'd find one that could ring in. I would sit there all day hoping for an application that for a job I applied for would call that payphone, and it felt like a waste of time. So I'm sitting there literally doing nothing all day, hoping the phone will ring.
Yeah.
And thank God, literally, I ended up getting a job as an assistant apartment manager for a Hispanic community, and I got paid one free apartment and $300 a month rent, and it helped me get back up on my feet. But had I not known Spanish and saw that ad while I was giving plasma, because I gave plasma twice a week.
I've been there, buddy.
And I would read through the one ads, and I saw this this job opportunity, and so I went to Goodwill with that plasma money. I bought a suit. I got a free 1 week pass at 24 Hour Fitness so I could shower the next day. And I showed up, guns blazing. And I remember when these guys looked at me because I was only 21 years old, and
Yeah.
they looked at me like, oh, this guy's young, And I said, please don't let my age be detraction because I can do the job.
Right.
Y también puedo hablar en español con la gente que viven aquí y puedo ayudar con renta y otras cosas que necesitan. And they're like, hold on a second.
Speak American.
They went over and talked to each other and extended out that handshake. And then I got on my feet and I started actually working with the homeless in Portland and helping them get off the streets. And it's kind of been my life mission since, you guys feed the homeless. I try to employ them.
Yeah.
And we all we're all a cog in the big machine, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. From my experience, is every time I reach out and try to help them, I usually get burned. I'm like the stepping stone you burn in the path of life sometimes. Um, I hate to call them like a project, but sometimes I'm like, I'll take on
Anthony.
I'll take on a project or I'll take on somebody that's like, give them a chance, but I could only handle like one at a time.
Yeah.
I can't help them all. And I feel like I'm just a stepping stone. I've had them wreck cars. I've had them do stuff, just like you try to help them out. And I usually see them crash and burn. Even washing dishes here at Rick's, somebody be like, hey, I got a guy who wants to clean up, but he couldn't maintain it. A week later he's gone or whatever.
Mhm.
So they come and go. But there are
Well, and
people.
for all the ones that take advantage, there's always one in a certain amount that it was worth going through all of the ones that were taking advantage with you.
Yeah. So there's one person I bump into like 2 years later. And of course, he doesn't want to talk to me or look me in the eyes because I got burned. But
Mm.
it's like, oh, he cleaned up his life. You know, he,
Yeah.
he made it. He made it out. Like I was a stepping stone. Like here's a possibility. Here's a possibility. And this particular one, I was like, oh, he made it out. Other ones, I'm like, oh, he's back on the streets and he's struggling. It's like, uh, yeah. How do you help someone that doesn't want to be helped? Like I'm not in their mind, but where I can, in the capacity that I can, I can be a stepping stone from somebody, and it could be if it takes 100 times, I could be
Right.
one of those that bridges that gets
Yeah.
burned. But I'm not going to stop helping people.
Yeah. No, you never know when you doing that one thing will be the thing that later on they look back at and say, well, man, yeah, I really screwed this person over. I need to do better than that, and I need to change, and I need to do things in a different way.
Yeah, but I mean that's
That's an interesting story about that. We had been feeding people for about a year, and we saw a lot of that. People just coming in, and it seems like they're just using you. And the fact of the matter is, they are. But one time on a Friday night, Linda was standing by the front door, and a homeless person came and handed her an envelope, and he said, "I was there for the Thanksgiving meal, and I just wanted to say thank you." He had got some kind of inheritance or something like that, and handed her an envelope, and she said, "Pastor Steve, this man handed me an envelope, and the Lord told me to share it with you and just give you half of it." She opened up the envelope, and it was $1,400.
Wow.
yeah, like
That's
And they came
amazing.
back to say thanks.
yeah, you're out there doing good things.
We've heard others come and say, I don't even remember being at this place, but I remember a white van picking me up and feeding us, but I was so messed up. But now I'm here again, and now I'm seeing. And so you never know when you're planting that seed or watering it when it's going to come back and grow, because God said He'll be the one that gives the increase.
Yes.
Yeah.
And once again, Pastor Steve is on his way on Sunday to Africa, Uganda, and a few other places over there. His cash tag for Cash App is $ Foxtrot Golf Mike Foxtrot Alpha November. And again, it's $FGMFAN. And it stands for Full Gospel Mission for All Nations. $5, $1, $10, $1,000. Anything counts. Whatever you feel. I just sent a few dollars myself. Didn't have a lot, but whatever. Everything adds up, and God will
Yep.
multiply it. So please
Yeah.
pull out your Cash App, sir or ma'am, and help support this
Yeah.
this guy in on his trip to Uganda.
Skip a coffee and make Uganda Weganda.
You're gonna do it.
Uganda do it.
I don't know if you saw, but I just sent a little myself, Pastor Steve.
Thank you very much.
And same with anyone listening. Feel free to, one time I had to raise $2,500, and you know how I did it? People gave $5 at a time, and I raised $2,500 in less than a week.
Wow.
So people think that, well, I don't have that much. $5 then, $10. Like.
You'd be surprised how generous people are.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, it has truly amazed me how generous people are, and it comes in all forms. It could be your time, it could be money, it could be whatever. But I'm amazed and impressed by people sometimes, and I was like, wow, they that was important enough to them, or for whatever reason that they contributed in the way they did. And I see it quite often. You know, I I grew up in a religious background, and now I own a bar,
Yeah.
and I see the generosity in a different way that I never would have noticed before. Um, and it's really strange to me, the workings of having a restaurant lounge or a bar. Like, people can come in, you can come into town, not know anybody, go to a bar, and I'm not if you bought somebody a drink, all of a sudden they've got a good friend for the night,
Oh yeah.
and then they send it back. And I'm not saying everyone needs to go to the bar, but
But everybody does need to go to Rick's.
everyone needs.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, like you can build quick relationships that way. Uh, that it's designed to kind of be an open community. Where if I went out to a restaurant, I don't think in that frame of mind where I'm going in there and it's like, uh, you may see a veteran and they might like, oh, I'm gonna buy that guy's food or whatever. But like, there's less like communication or interaction in most social like settings. But it was interesting for me to observe this because, like I said, I came from a religious background. I don't drink, and I was like, this is amazing that they can come and they're no longer lonely, or they have friends here. Uh, but it's interesting. And so, whatever you're looking for, uh, you can find it.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to be alone. And whether you find it through, religion, or you find it through community, um, but find something, and you'll have community, and regardless of what it is, you'll be able to serve each other
Yeah.
in unique ways. And then hopefully the end result is you'll make better choices and move forward with your life and not be stagnant.
Yeah. I think communities of it's really important. Like, you finding something you love and building a group of people around that kind of have that same passion for the thing that you have that passion for, whether it be, church and outreach in your community that way, or, nerd stuff like card games or whatever, chess, whatever you like to do. Finding a community around that is huge. That'll change your life.
You got the sand scorpions doing sand dune stuff.
Oh yeah.
You have communities all over, and they're all serving, and they're doing events, and they're doing all these,
Yep.
things for the community.
If you're sitting in a room alone by yourself all the time, reach out to people. Find a way to connect with somebody.
Yeah.
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 And not only that, reach out your phone and go ahead and share this. And then while you're doing that, open up Cash App and $5, $10 to help Pastor Steve and his upcoming mission. $FGMFAN, and tell other folks. $5, $10. if you got 1,000, great, send 1,000. Also, I'll give you my Cash App as well too.
Yeah, push our buttons, and if you're decent enough looking, we'll push yours back.
So how did you end up getting into, Pastor Steve, into working with the homeless? What was it that drew you in that direction?
Well, it was kind of accidental. I went and visited Linda's coffee house downtown first time, and I was really attracted to it for some reason, and I just possibly took. And then she said, "Well, I'll pray about it." And after she had my cooking, she said I could do it again, and I just wanted to help some kind of way. But then when she found out I had a church, um, and she was removed from that place because they sold it, I just said yes, and I was kind of apprehensive, but I knew to say yes. And it's been the best thing for our church and for our community that I've ever seen, because it did this again. It didn't change the homeless; it changed us too.
Very good. Um, I have on my notes that you're a musician. How much?
Definitely.
How much do you get paid?
Wait, did he mean he does card tricks?
Musician.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm a worshiper. I used to play in the Army, and I won the Army Soldier Show back in '85 and got to go on tour with the Army Soldier Show. So I wasn't any longer an infantry soldier for 3 months each year. And I got to be the keyboard player and singer and the MC for the Army Soldier Show for years '86 and '87, I think it was.
It's pretty cool.
Did you ever open for any famous people?
Like Anthrax,
Why are you asking
Metallica.
me that, sir?
Because it's important.
Yes, I did. After we won the Army Soldier Show, the Hawaii base, the Schofield Barrett, we found out Sister Sledge was coming. Like, you could open for them since you were the winner of the Army Soldier Show. And so I get to the stage, and actually the first thing that happened, I got on the bus with Sister Sledge. They're the ones that sing "We Are Family."
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All my brothers and sisters and me.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Well, I get on the bus and I said, "Hey, I'm opening for you," and they just kind of looked at me like, "Eh." And I thought, "Oh, that's great." But I got on the stage and they introduced me as the winner of the Army Soldier Show, and I asked the drum player, I said, "Hey, would you help me out?" And he just looked at me and said, So I took out the piano.
You're on your own, man.
And I played one note, and the piano was so loud I couldn't hear myself sing. And so I make it through this song, this patriotic song that I wrote, and I just thought it would be a standing ovation. But when I got done, after hearing my only piano playing and not my voice, I said, "And for my next song," and the crowd unanimously went, and it was, you heard David Letterman talk about the smattering of applause. And I went to my barracks and I just hung my head and didn't even want to show up for breakfast the next morning. But that was my experience with fame and music.
There's a saying about the saying, I believe, goes like this: fecal matter happens.
It's a technical term.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, if you need your car or truck worked on, Brothers Automotive, 761-9744. No job too big, no job too small. Sometimes you feel like your car might be wanting to take a poop. Let's get it in and check it out. Call Brothers Automotive, 761-9744.
Starts to smell funny, make weird noises.
Also, if you're thinking again, like I said, of getting extensions or blonding your hair or getting a style or a cut, call Aaron Walker at Eden Salon in Moses Lake. Again, it's Aaron Walker at Eden Salon in Moses Lake, 766-6900. She does amazing things. I've seen a lot of her posts on her social media. I couldn't do all that stuff. And I don't think
get my
anybody would
beard blonded.
you should.
Just a beard.
I don't think anybody would ever want me to do anything to their hair, but she does a wonderful job. So call Aaron Walker, 509-766-6900. Rick?
I go there. You can look like me.
He does
Look
not,
like Rick today.
he does not go there.
All right.
He does not go there.
Um,
His sponsor does not ever, has probably never met him.
Big fat lie. No. Wing Wednesday at Rick's, guys.
Wing Wednesday.
Wing Wednesday.
What?
If you can't tell, Steve, I'm the guy that says all the stuff that's supposed to be said
Yeah.
because Rick won't.
Yeah.
I won't do it.
Rick won't, and I forget. So
Well, Steve, we appreciate the work you're doing and helping those in need and changing lives.
yeah,
And
man.
good luck on your trip to Africa. And I guess you go to other places too. I got Africa, Pakistan, India.
Yeah.
So,
Pastor Steve, I'd be honored if you followed us on social media, YouTube and Facebook, and that's the Rixican Show. Ricks, here, duck Rick, so you can see it behind you. RICKSICAN. So any social media, it's Rixican Show. And we
It's like Mexican, but you replace the MEX
it's like
with Rick.
American, but Rixican.
yeah.
People get less offended when I say it that way.
Well, I mean, I could say it.
Yeah, you are of a darker tone, Deb.
I am.
Hey, tranquilo.
So, besides mission, really quick, I know we're coming to a close. Do you do it? Do you get to do like? Do you have a fun thing you do when you go to Africa? That's like, hey, I'm here. I love to do this part. Eat cockroaches or whatever it is.
The funnest thing is seeing things you never dreamed you would see in your life. For instance, something hit the car at a gas station, and it looked like the size of a coconut, and so we didn't know what it was. But then it opened up, and it had legs and started walking. So seeing things like that was pretty wild. And then playing with the kids is probably the highlight. They are so much fun. If you play with one, then you get an audience of 100 right away. And that's
Awesome.
probably
Yeah.
the thing that brings the most joy for us.
Yeah. That's
Africa's on my bucket list, just FYI. I will go there. Oh, yes, I will.
Well, we are planning a trip in June that people can come to, and
Awesome.
we'll have those exact dates.
Well, you got my number. Definitely send me that info.
I'm gonna stow
sure
away
will.
at Donnie's luggage so I don't have to pay for tickets.
I already have my
You
passport.
know what? Just this trip alone is 12 airline tickets.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
so the backwoods of the backwoods. That's wild.
Yeah, but in the trunk.
In the trunk.
Can you imagine doing a show from there? That would be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Give me a mic and a camera, man. I'll make it happen.
You got
Live from Uganda, it's Josue.
from Australia.
From Uganda, but partially Australia. From Australia.
Australia.
Lost souls are the rich and famous. On Robin Leach, and I don't know why.
That's good.
Out of control.
Oh man.
Any final thoughts, Pastor Steve?
Well, I just appreciate you having me on. I wasn't sure what to expect, and then I was a little shocked when I previewed your show last night. I wasn't what I was expecting, but I am glad to be here. I just apologize for hearing my own voice in my ear driving me crazy. I hope it doesn't show too much.
And feel free to take and share yours on your social media as well too. And
Yeah,
it'll get some more support. Last time before we go, I'm going to say $, all capitals, FGMFAN stands for Full Gospel Mission for All Nations with the $sign in front of the first letter of each of those words. Send $5, send $1, send $10, send 1,000, whatever you got. Right now, pull out your phone. It doesn't matter. There's no amount too small, no amount too big. Send some Cash App fund to help them on this trip.
Absolutely.
The silence. All right, folks. Thanks for joining us today on the Rixican Show. Thanks, Steve Cannon,
Thank you very much.
for taking care of those in need. And we will see you next time.
Awesome.